And now, Dr. Saul Morris. So we've heard from the different speakers the investor perspective, the private sector perspective, the country perspective, the UN agricultural mandate perspective as well. But I'm very keen to hear about more in terms of how does nutrition fit into the intersection between climate change and tending to food security, with nutrition being such, a very sensitive and difficult challenge that many countries face nowadays. So over to you to share your views on that.
Thank you very much indeed, and thank you to my colleague from the Commonwealth for queuing up the mention of nutrition just now. So, of course, food plays two roles in our world. One is a cultural and social function, and the other is a biological function to feed us and make us function as people so that we can go about our daily business. And that's what nutrition is all about. And again, that I work for, the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition, it works across 8 African countries and 4 Asian countries to try and ensure that everybody has access to healthy diets and is able to improve their nutrition, but healthy diets coming from sustainable sources, and that's where we see this nexus with the climate issues. So we need to tackle that from multiple issues because food is all around us. It's part of our world in every sense, and so we need to think about demand for healthy diets. We need to think about the supply side, and we need to think about the whole policy and enabling environment. So I'll just give you a couple of examples of our work in each of those so you can get a sense of it. So starting with the enabling environment, first of all, we need to really look at what are the win-win scenarios for investment for both climate and nutrition. And what we've seen constantly is that these two worlds don't really speak to each other. So all of the climate documents fail to mention the fact about the human needs of nutrition. And when you go to look at nutrition documents, you see that they barely mention climate also. So we've been very prominent in the Initiative on Climate Action and Nutrition, which is the sort of the sister initiative to FAST coming out of the Egypt COP. And we really tried through that to document where there are potential win-win options for investment and how we can move forward. And that's been something that's been both global and now taking forward at country level as well. My colleague from Pakistan is here as well and working on that at country level. On the supply side, and I thought it was interesting to hear a colleague from Lesotho talking about the market infrastructure. Of course, this is one of the most critical aspects of resilience. If your infrastructure falls apart the instant that there's a severe weather event, as we've seen frequently across southern Africa, then there won't be food flowing through the food system. The whole thing comes to a halt. Recently, in recent years, we've had, taking the example of Southern Africa again, horrendous cyclones that have swept across the region and knocked out food markets. And so we've been involved in rebuilding them, thinking about how they can become more structurally resilient so that the next time there's a cyclone, they won't fall apart and the whole food system is brought to a halt. We also work very much with small and medium enterprises, which are the backbone of the food systems in the countries that we're interested in, and thinking about how they can be brought on board to invest in climate-sensitive ways. Finally, on the demand side, we need to work with consumers. All of us are going to have to change our diets. Here we are sitting in a country that has wonderful food but is very keen on meat. And we're going to have to move gradually towards more plant-forward diets. So again, there's been thinking about what are the strategies that are going to make people actually want to eat a little bit differently. It's much more difficult than it sounds, and we've been developing approaches in that and also investing heavily in things like vegetable value chains. Finally, we do research work. We've been looking at life cycle analysis of key foods that will have to play a bigger part in our food system in order to move forward to more climate-friendly, more climate-resilient diets, and trying to get some nuance in the discussion around animal source foods, moving away from they're bad, no, they're good, kind of dialogue to something more nuanced about what the role of animal source foods in the future is going to be and how we can move towards that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Saul.